This is Ryan Elliott for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. I'm delighted to be down at the Team Barry gym for the first time out here in Las Vegas with me, Kevin Barry. Kevin, thank you very much for having me down. How have you been?
Ryan, I've been great, and it's great to have you here, mate.
Thank you very much. We're obviously here visiting ahead of Wilder Fury 2. You've got Joseph busy at the minute. He's out next week. Joseph Parker back in the ring against Shondell Winters. What's the mood like at the minute? Is it nice for Joe to just sort of put the frustration of last year behind him and be back with a fight next week?
Well, Joe's really excited to be back into the ring. After a very quiet 2019 where we had one fight, we really need to get going early this year. So, having this fight against Shondell Winters on the 29th of February is good timing for us. Hopefully everything goes well. We've had a tremendous camp. Winters is the right sort of an opponent when Joe's been out of the ring for quite a while. So, we're looking to fight 3 times this year. So, getting a fight in February is going to help us achieve that.
Just to go back to the last time we were sort of down the gym, I think Rob came down just after you guys had unfortunately had to pull out of the Derek Chisora fight. Just to go back and reflect upon that particular time, how frustrating was it? Joe's had this reputation as somebody who will fight anybody. To have to pull out of a fight of that magnitude and just sort of have to deal with what followed after the little bit of inactivity as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it's been covered in detail, but, we were very frustrated. It was a fight that we'd been looking forward to for a long time, and it was the first time in 7 years, Joe's professional career, that he had to pull out of a fight, and the spider bite really brought him to his knees. And your good friend Rob had actually covered the spider bite. He's seen the photos, he's seen the scars. It was just one of those unfortunate things that you couldn't plan for. But we lost a lot of momentum last year through missing out on the Chisora fight in the summer. And, we're doubly keen to get going and to get active and put on a very good performance against Shondell Winters. And we look forward to putting our hand up for a big fight this summer.
With the Shondell Winters fight, what do you expect from him? And for Joe, is it about, like you say, looking good, putting in a performance ahead of potentially springboarding into that big mix later this year?
Well, look, it's so important that we look good in this fight. The heavyweight division at the moment is red hot. And it's very important that Joe looks good. He has to be very dominant in this fight, and just to show that he is back and he is one of the elite heavyweights in world boxing.
Has there been any sort of names banded around for what could be coming in the later part of 2020? I know you said you'd like Joe to fight 3 times this year. We got the first one coming up. The Chisora the Chisora fight that didn't take place. A White rematch. What sort of names would you guys like?
Like both the names that you just said are fights that we would love and we would sign for tomorrow. But one thing we've never ever done in the 7 years that Joe and I have had together is look past the opponent that's in front of us. And we've got a guy who has nothing to lose, a guy who's coming off back-to-back wins against undefeated opponents, a guy who put on a tremendous performance against Tislenko to win the NABA title and to get a top 15 world ranking with the WBA. So, look, we're treating this fight very, very seriously, and we have a lot of respect. We look at Winters and his 13 wins, he's had 12 of them by knockout. So, there's good power there to respect. But, we're prepared well. We're excited. Joe's healthy. He's in very good shape. And we just can't wait for the fight.
You mentioned there you are fixated on Shondell Winters, with all the belts sort of tied up. Anthony Joshua's going to have his mandatories. We're here for Wilder Fury, where the other belt is at the minute. For Joe, in the sort of next sort of months, while all those belts aren't available, is it about establishing himself as the top guy out of the rest of the guys, so to speak?
I think it's very important that every time you enter the ring that you look great. Because one bad performance and you'll slip a long way down the ladder at the moment. Joe needs to put his talent on display, and as I mentioned before, we need to be dominant in this fight. There is 3 or 4 guys at the top of the division at the moment who are wearing the belts and are getting in all the big fights. Then there's 3 or 4 guys that Joseph Parker is part of in the next level down, and we want to stay there, and we want to keep performing, and we want to keep getting better and getting closer to another big fight and another world title challenge.
Now we'll come on to why I and My friend behind me are here. Wilder Fury 2, we'll come on to that. I just wanted to talk about your stable, your fighters. Umar Salamov, this WBO light heavyweight situation, a little unclear from an outside perspective at the minute. I believe Umar's ranked number 2. The belt is vacant. Has there been any contact with regards to a possible world title shot?
Oh, most definitely. We've got, we're going to be fighting Maxim Vlasov. Another Russian who was ranked number 3. The WBO ordered 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3. Well, Umar's ranked number 2 and Vlasov number 3. So that's who we'll be fighting in the semi-final, probably sometime in June or early July. Umar's been here in camp. He's sparred 60 rounds in the last 5 weeks. Quite a few with Joe. Quite a few with my other undefeated heavyweight, Guido Varnello. He left here in really good shape, but because the fight is not until after Ramadan and it's in our summer here, he's gone back home to be with his wife and his son, and he'll be back sometime mid-May.
So you suggested there we're still waiting official news. There could be a box off.
There is a box off.
Yeah, with Salamov and Vlasov there. Do you expect that to be stateside when it's announced?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, it'll be somewhere here. I'm hoping close to home. Las Vegas would be perfect for me.
Perfect. Now with Guido, you mentioned there, Guido Varnello, your young heavyweight charge. How's he been looking, and what sort of plans do you have for him coming into this year? He's had some great exposure last year on plenty of big undercards. Is it a case of same again, keep learning?
Yeah, sure. He's very young in his career. He's 6-0, 6 KOs, and he's a big lad who's getting better and developing all the time. My son Taylor's doing a great deal of work with him at the moment. He's been in charge of actually most of his pad work throughout Guido's time with us. Guido's going to be fighting in Quebec City in Canada the end of March, and it'll be our first fight for 2020. We plan on fighting 4 times this year. We're looking to step him up in this fight. We're going to put someone in front of him who's got a bunch of experience, and we're just going to see where Guido stands in his development at the moment.
Now, in terms of Guido's development, he couldn't ask for better sparring. Obviously, you got the likes of Joe here. He's done rounds with Fury, amongst many others. Have you seen enough to suggest that this is a kid we should be incredibly excited about once he's sort of developed and got to that mature stage?
Well, I'm very excited about him, and I know my son Taylor's very excited. We see a lot of potential. He's a very level-headed young man, a big unit, is 6'6". He has a tremendous motor. He just goes and goes and goes, and he ticks a lot of boxes for us. Very durable. Got a great jab. He punches nice and straight. Terrific trainer. I never have to ask him to do more. I have to ask him to do less. Great personality, and I think this young man in a couple of years' time is going to be very, very special.
The mood around the gym must be great at the minute. You've got Joe in a fight looking to springboard himself back into contention. You're talking there highly about Guido as well. But particularly with Umar Salamov, is that someone that you think, obviously we know of his talent, do you think this could be a big breakout year for him if he wins a world title and can maybe get them top tier matchups as well? Well,
this is a huge year for Umar, and he realised it. He's still only a very young man. At the age of 25, he's the youngest on BoxRec, the top 25 light heavyweights in the world. So, we've got a lot of time with Umar, but he is a tremendous talent. At 6'3.5", he is a huge light heavyweight. This is a young guy who could still be ruling the division in 10 years' time. I know what he's capable of. He's a beast in the ring, and when he's motivated and when he's in a proper training environment, he's a totally different athlete. We saw it in the last 5 to 6 weeks here when he knew that he was close to signing a promotional deal. He knew that he was close to signing a big fight. And now that he's got himself in this 4-way box off with the WBO, he just signed a new contract. He's highly motivated, and I'm excited of what 2020 is going to be for Umar Salamov.
You mentioned the big contract there. Appreciate you can't talk about it because it hasn't been officially announced, Kevin. But for when it is announced, yes, you don't have to mention any names or who it's with. But having the backing of a big promoter, a big sort of stable as well. Do you think that could help give him the platform and the exposure to go on and do the great things you just spoke of there?
Oh, most definitely, and that's why we needed to put him, with a real big time promoter, because he's a big time fighter, and I think he's going to be in some tremendous fights in the next couple of 3 years.
Salamov promotional news coming very soon, but that's for another day. On to why we are visiting Las Vegas. Wilder Fury 2, huge fight for the heavyweight scene. First thing I want to address, Kevin, you've known Tyson well, you've known Ben Davison, who he parted ways with. Did that come as a surprise to you, that he parted ways with Ben and linked up with Sugar Hill?
Look, it really did, and I looked at what Ben actually brought to Tyson, and when you look at the way that he was very instrumental in bringing him back from the dead and from creating the fighter that we're looking at today. When Tyson decided that he wasn't going to be his trainer for this fight, I was very, very surprised, because I looked at what Ben had done, and that was the sort of guy that I would always want as part of my team, whether he was the head coach or whether he was just in the corner with me. Ben's a very, very inspirational figure in the life of Tyson Fury, and I'm sure that was quite a hard decision for Tyson not to have him there. Personally, I think it will be one of the factors of the fight, not having him there.
Tyson's came out and said he's gone to Sugar Hill because he wants to take a more aggressive approach in this fight. He's looking for the knockout. A lot of the media back home, when he sort of suggested that's what he'd do, he's talking about the second round and all this, saying that's just Tyson Fury beating Tyson Fury. Speaking to a lot of guys out here, though, a lot of guys believe him. Do you believe that that's what approach he will take in this fight? He's going to look to try and stop Deontay Wilder?
Well, I tell you what, no, I don't. Look, I think that we're going to see a Tyson Fury throw a lot more powerful punches in this fight. He was probably a little tentative and relied a lot on his boxing skill in fight one. But let's remember, that worked for him in fight one. So, when something's working for you, hence Ben Davison, when something works for you, you don't change it. Look, I think Tyson we know he is a tremendous athlete. He's very light on his feet. He fights left-handed and right-handed. He's very unorthodox. He's very flexible. Got great boxing skills and light feet. Use those attributes that you have. Look, I think that this whole fight is going to come down to which camp makes the adjustments correctly. And look, both guys will be better this time around. Both guys, they've had the 12 rounds together. They know each other a lot more. Both of them were very unconvincing in their last fights. Even though, Wilder silenced the critics with a devastating knockout, he was unconvincing in the 6 rounds before that. Tyson didn't box at his best in the last fight. The adjustments that both teams make, I think, it will be the results of this fight. Both guys will rely on the jab a lot more. I think we'll see Tyson use the jab to create the distance. I think we'll see Wilder use the jab a lot more. He won't be so wide. He won't be so reckless. He was a little overexcited in the first fight. He was trying too hard to kill Tyson with every punch. I think we'll see a more patient Wilder. I think we'll see a Wilder that will use that jab to jab the chest, to set up his power hand. Instead of going out there and trying to look to use that cannon straight away, he will respect it a little more, and he'll use the jab in different ways. He'll use it to disguise his right hand. He'll work the jab up and down. I see the jab for both guys being a very, very important feature in the fight.
Going back to the Otto Wallin fight, obviously we saw that horrific cut Tyson Fury sustained, got through the fight, got the win. We were worried this fight was going to be pushed back. It wasn't. We're here. Tyson, it's not something he can afford to worry about going into the ring, that cut reopening. He's brought in Stitch Duran, though, Jacob Stitch Duran. How beneficial could that experience be in the corner Saturday evening?
Well, that's one of the smartest things that he did do, because Stitch is, in my opinion, the top cut man in the world. He works with us and our fighters, and we have a great relationship with Stitch. In fact, I believe my son actually spoke to Tyson and spoke to Ben when Ben was still on board about bringing Stitch on board as the cup man. I think that it would be unrealistic to think that those cuts won't open up again. And when you talk about, Tyson saying he's going to come out and he's going to chance his arm in the first couple of rounds, maybe he's going to do that because he doesn't expect his cuts to hold up for 12 rounds.
Can I get an official prediction before I let you go, Kevin? Can I try and get you off the fence?
Look, I think both guys are very talented guys. I just think I look at which fighter can make the best adjustments from the first fight. And I think the first fight, Tyson Fury fought out of his skin. He fought a great fight that no one expected him to fight. I think the biggest improvements can be made by Deontay Wilder. I know people are saying, look, he's older. They think he may have reached his best performance. But I think with the adjustments, I think there's far more room for improvement in Deontay Wilder, and I think if he can disguise that right hand a little better, I think the power will be the telling factor in the fight.
Kevin, thank you for making time for us as always. Thank you for having me down for the first time. There's a wonderful facility. Catch you very soon, and best of luck next week with Joe as well.
My pleasure.